In this video, we're exploring INTASC Standard 2, Learning Differences. And this one is deeply rooted in the heart of good teaching. Here's the official statement. The teacher uses understanding of individual differences and diverse cultures and communities to ensure inclusive learning environments that enable each learner to meet high standards. Let's pause right there. This standard is a reminder. Difference is not a barrier. It's the ground of our learning. Our job as teachers is not to erase difference, but to respond to it, to build learning environments that honor it, work with it, and create space for all students to thrive. And again, let's bring in our theory of understanding to help us see this more clearly. We recognize that understanding is relational and embodied. Let me remind you that understanding isn't about processing abstract information. It's about interacting with the world through our bodies, our cultures, our tools, and our contexts. That means students don't all see or feel the same things, even when sitting in the same classroom. Why? Because each student brings their own embodied form. That's the physical and cognitive ways they process experience. They each bring their own materials. That's their background, language, culture, trauma, identity. They bring their purpose, what motivates them to learn, what matters in their world, their own function, how they connect learning to action, and their affordances, what opportunities they perceive and can act on. Standard 2 challenges us to design classrooms that can hold all of that. So let's break it down. We have performance. In action, teachers who meet this standard adapt instruction to accommodate individual and cultural differences. They use a variety of approaches to make learning accessible. They work to remove barriers, not just physical, but also emotional, linguistic, and cultural. They create spaces where students see themselves reflected in what and how they're learning. From our embodied understanding perspective, this means shaping learning environments where every student can find their own way in. We're noticing the forms of difference and designing with them, not against them. We have the essential knowledge. To do this well, teachers need to understand the many forms diversity can take, including culture, language, ability, socioeconomic background, and neurodiversity. Recognize that these differences affect how students experience learning, communicate, and make meaning. Be aware of systemic inequalities that can affect students' access to opportunity. This is the material of real education. You're not teaching students in general. You're working with specific, living, dynamic learners. And each learner's way of knowing the world, how they speak, move, express emotion, seek connection, has value. And we have critical dispositions. Now, here's where it really gets real. This standard asks us to believe in the ability of all learners to meet high standards, even when they get there in different ways. Respect the dignity and humanity of every student. Be humble enough to keep learning about cultures, communities, and ways of being you may not yet understand. And be committed to creating not just equal classrooms, but truly inclusive ones. I'd say that this is about staying open to the forms of understanding that are familiar to us. Because sometimes the most powerful learning moments happen when we realize that someone else sees the world differently, and that difference matters. So, final thoughts. So here's what I hope you carry forward. Standard 2 is about building classrooms where difference isn't just tolerated, it's essential to how the community learns and grows. Understanding isn't about sameness, it's about creating a space where each learner can engage with their own form, material, and purpose, and where your teaching is flexible and responsive enough to meet them there. As you move forward, ask yourself, who is this lesson designed for? Who might it leave out? And how can I shape the environment so that every learner has a path into deep understanding? That's what Standard 2 calls us to do.